Mr. President, can you explain why you did not condemn those hate groups by name over the weekend?
They've been condemned. They have been condemned.
You had many people in that group other than neo-Nazis and white nationalists, okay? And the press has treated them absolutely unfairly.
How do you think it turned out?
Well, it wasn't the rally that we had envisioned, but I think it essentially made our point. Scott Adams, the creator of Dilbert, called it the most successful free speech rally of all time, in a way, because it was a small group of people basically got together and said, hey, we don't think there's enough free speech in this country.
We're not just going to sit down. We're going to stand up. We're going to resist. We're going to be a united front, and you're going to hear us.
Monica Cannon is an organizer for this Saturday's Fight Supremacy rally. The event Facebook page shows over 8,000 marchers committed.
Was it premature to judge folks without hearing them Saturday and shutting them out, essentially?
So no, I'm going to be candid and say that if it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, Aflac. Most of the speakers actually all of the speakers that were on their program, one of them, Kyle Chapman, the moment you Google his name, it says white nationalist.
We have to stand up to this. We are being systematically oppressed.
The second battle of Berkeley, I broke my hand knocking out an Antifa punk.
I implore everybody to get out there, organize these rallies, organize these events, stand up to the tyranny, stand up to the systemized political oppression that is being exercised against people of conservative thought.
I believe these people have targeted whites specifically. The very progenitors of the Western civilization are white people, and we have been targeted for destruction.
There are thousands of conservative brothers and sisters here in Portland. They can't walk down the streets with their MAGA hats on. They can't walk down the streets with their Trump hats on.
Antifa is a perfect example of white guilt run amok. These are all white kids, and all they do is talk shit about white people. Every college now has academic courses that teach you about white privilege. And they hit me with it over and over again through junior high and high school, how white people are responsible for slavery and they got the boots on the neck of everybody else. And it was just shame, 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 shame on you for being white.
If Antifa is showing up, can they show up masked? They show up with weapons. The reason why they're masked and all dressed in black is because it makes it harder to identify while committing acts of violence against us.
I speak better than you. You speak like my grandma. You speak like my grandma. My grandma speaks better than you. What's up? You the one backing up. What's up?
Violence is a component of that. Any means. Doesn't matter what it is. Violence, murder.
We let these people know we're done with the system, the systematic oppression.
You become a self-hating, ashamed white person, and then you no longer wish to protect your culture, civilization, because all you associate it with is death, destruction, slavery, imperialism, colonialism.
Heather Heyer is dead. She was plowed down by Alex Fields Jr. at Charlotte's Unite the Right rally. This rally, when I first heard of it back in May and June, was all about we want to oppose taking down statues. They want to take down the Robert E. Lee statue.
Jews will not replace us. Jews will not replace us.
Jews
Yes.
are fucking with you on a daily basis. Jews are taking back comedy awards. Jews are telling you that it's illegal to look at emails.
It's not about the Confederate flag. No one's ever cared about South Carolina before. What they really want is white guilt.
Who is to blame for this crash? Who is to blame for Charlottesville? Who's to blame for this death?
Jews will not replace us.
We're not going to absolve anyone of blame here and say, well, it was the conditions that made them that way. Yes, there's lots of people with blood on their hands, but why the hell don't Jews bring Santa into the thing? You know Hanukkah sucks. Let's cut the crap.
Gavin, you don't really believe that white people are oppressed in this country, do you?
We need to disavow the alt-right, and we need to focus on socially liberal, fiscally conservative values. You're a gay Jew, aren't you? Let's get back to dismantling the government and not get lost in rhetoric. It gets people killed.
What's this?
That's my Jew finger thing. Just kidding. We're not anti-Semites here. As you yourself put it, it gets to the point where people want to blame the Jews if it rains on their birthday.
You haven't met David Duke?
I haven't met David Duke. He was long out of the Ku Klux Klan by then.
But obviously you know who the KKK is.
Who?
You know that they lynched African Americans for
When's the
years
last
and
time
years.
they did that? You're talking about living people. I mean, you asked me to denounce the KKK of 100 years ago?
I don't like dwelling on genocide. China moved on. Russia moved on. Move on.
I'm not going to say I believe it as an article of faith. You're asking me likewise.
So you'd rather say if you think the Holocaust happened?
Do I think? Okay, now you're getting somewhere. Do I think what happened? What is the Holocaust to you? And if importing millions of non-Europeans to Europe is not white genocide, then why do you claim that importing millions of Europeans to the Americans and Australia was genocide? It's 6 million people died because the Germans are evil people. Do I believe that 6 million people were killed by evil Hitler? That's what you're asking me?
Sure, if you wanted to define it that way.
Okay, then I'm still waiting to see those facts. If there is no white genocide going on, then why are Europeans becoming a minority in their own capitals? Why is it the future prospect of European cities that Europeans become a minority in their own homelands?
So it's a little strange to be speaking at the Lincoln Memorial, of all places.
John Wilkes Booth did nothing wrong.
The main reason we came out here today is because I think people like myself as a person of color are tired of being called Nazis and white supremacists, and we stand up for free speech.
Indians are our favorite immigrants. Mostly because, and I know you're not Indian, but mostly because their religion is silly. It's just cobras playing the flute on a flying carpet and some elephant with 4 heads.
In spite of that noise out there, we're here to stand up for something very fundamental, which is called free speech. And let me tell you that they tried to prevent me from coming here, as you may have heard in the media. We're not racist.
Most immigrants would be wrong to vote for you because you hate immigrants. I'm just kidding, but you know what I mean.
Well, yeah, well, you know, I have a different attitude, right? I believe that nationalism is good.
Right.
You see, India never really overthrew its oppressor. You know, Modi, the new prime minister, got elected. He's the first guy to actually promote a national identity, like Trump has done in a long time.
It's going to be a historic fight because, remember, Elizabeth Warren is not running just for Senate. She's running to stop Donald Trump. That's what her website says.
They are trying to take away our children, our young boys from us and turn them into eunuchs, cut, right? Cut boys. They're trying to turn our boys into girls. You have, I think you've all seen Alex Jones talk about, you're making the frogs gay, right?
It is proven with science that some of the most worst things you can do is to have gay sex. Why? STDs, AIDS, all kinds of crap.
Quite frankly, it's the dumbest thing in the world. This article by NBC News is called Out Front, LGBTQ Advocate Creates Empowering Space for Queer Muslims. And you never want to actually talk about the root of the problem, which is Islam.
$100,000 for some guy to chop his dick off and tuck it in.
The war against men is a war against Western civilization and our culture.
We need more men like that every day willing to stand up for Western culture.
So, what are some of the traits of masculinity? Could anybody shout out?
Not letting women push you around.
For self-defense purposes, you do not have to wait to be struck.
Deporting illegals. I like that too.
Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims.
You can feel that your life or your safety is in danger, and then react in self-defense. There does not have to be a physical confrontation, right?
Knock the crap out of them, would you? Seriously. I will pay for the legal fees, I promise. I wanted to hit a couple of those speakers. Please don't be too nice.
Next time we see him, we might have to kill him.
Calling out the Jews!
By the time Trump finishes his 8 years in office, all Generation Z will all be of voting age. And I tell you, if we do the right thing, we're gonna get a Rand Paul or some other great president in there.
David Duke!
This represents a turning point for the people of this country. We are determined to take our country back. We're going to fulfill the promises of Donald Trump. That's what we believed in. That's why we voted for Donald Trump, because he said he's going to take our country back, and that's what we got to do.
You are writing in who?
Commander George Lincoln Rockwell.
And who in God's name is that?
The founder of the American Nazi Party.
There are several speakers here.
We are white people. We are Aryan.
But none quite like Matt Heimbach, who is practically worshipped by many of his followers.
Very well, sir. God bless. Matt Heimbach is extremely articulate, well-spoken. He is a genius, and he is what's taking this movement forward.
They see me as their leader, the one that's fighting for them. And I couldn't do any of this without them.
Do you look up to someone like Adolf Hitler?
Of course we look up to men like Adolf Hitler. We look up to him as inspirations for what we can achieve.
So do you think that Donald Trump is a close second to Adolf Hitler?
No, he is not a nationalist.
He's not a real Nazi is what you're saying.
He's not a real nationalist.
No, I'm thinking of bringing cinder blocks so we can start building the wall now.
Well, we can build the wall, but you've got to be able to maintain the wall. You've got to be able to...
So you are for Donald Trump?
No, I'm for something far more than Donald Trump. Donald Trump is the beginning.
So they weren't able to beat us with their armed militant left-wing radicals. So they had to turn to the state. If that doesn't go to show that the radical left, the corporations, and the state are all on the same Jewish side, a moment like this proves it.
You blame Jews for destroying white European culture. You suggest keeping Jews separate. And you say Jews have a burning hatred for Europeans and will stop at nothing to drive them into submission. Where'd you learn these ideas?
Well, first and foremost, I think if you just looked and asked the people of Palestine, the people of Lebanon, people all throughout the world that are dealing with international Zionism, they would agree with me on these subjects.
So, when do we put up the swastikas and get the jackboots out here to kill everyone in the streets?
Differences being different groups of people want to be governed different ways. I have nothing to say to you, sir.
I don't talk to boys who use buzzwords. You're not going to take it seriously.
You hate Muslims and gays and blacks as well.
Well, first and foremost, I don't hate anybody. And second of all, I believe in supporting all nationalist movements around the world. Actually, I just published an article on the website supporting the struggle of the Palestinian people to fight for an independent homeland. So I support all peoples that are fighting for independence, for sovereignty, for their own culture, their own identity. I also support the struggle that's happening in Syria for President Bashar al-Assad to fight for a nationalist government. I support Hezbollah, Hamas, and all Arab groups, that many of them who are Muslim, who are fighting for independence. So I see them as allies in an international war against globalism.
This is a political revolution, and tomorrow belongs to us. Defeat, never. Victory, forever. Hail victory!
Now, I grew up rough. I grew up fighting gangbangers, and Bay Stickman will ultimately be a right-wing conservative superhero for our children. We are creating a universe of right-wing superheroes and leftist villains like Antifa, George Soros.
The Antifa.
Antifa. The anarchists. The anarchists. This movement has infected every country. These are domestic terrorists.
I'm basically an anarchist. I'm a punk rocker.
We're going to use this medium of comic books and graphic novels to teach our children. And we're going to teach the kids survival skills. We're going to teach them fighting skills. We're going to teach them what it means to be a man. And not just what it means to be any man, but to be a male, a member of Western society. So you are a man of Western society, and there are certain obligations you have as part of this society, as a man and a part of this society. It is not a choice. You are obligated to defend this society.
Holy fuck! Jesus fucking Christ!
On the side where the white nationalists are at, they're pushing up against the cops. This would never happen. Dude, Black Lives Matter protesters would be arrested immediately. Black people would be attacked and arrested. This would never happen. Look at this. They are attacking the cops.
The 20,000 who aren't here yet. What the fuck? They've cut us off from the entire eastern half of the city. None of us can get out by train. And us by car. We're trapped in this.
Before? Is there any way to get out of this in case they try to set this fucker on fire?
I'm thinking that. What if they start fucking pushing us back and forth?
We're gonna die. So we're right now in the.
Hey, can we get the AC on? This is stifling. Let's get these fans aren't. Hey, these fans aren't on, bud.
This is the price.
We're being evacuated. We're trying to get out of here.
This is the price of free
The
speech.
cops are getting us out.
And I want to focus on the good. There were 45,000 people who came together and said, listen, you're going to exercise your right to free speech, we're going to exercise our right to free speech. We're going to say, and we can speak louder, we can speak in a unified front, saying that hatred, anti-Semitism, bigotry, white supremacy, homophobia, Islamophobia, and all the like are unacceptable. And not only are we going to come together for this one day, but we are going to continue to stay united and to flush out these issues. We have work to do not only in D.C. With the issues that Trump presents, but we have work to do in our own cities, in our own state of Massachusetts, around the disparities that we live in. Who we are in the city is based, and our character as a city is based on what we do for the least of those, not for the most of those. And that's what I'm about.